morning and welcome to Kane County Energy and Environmental Committee meeting for today, Friday the 13th of May. I am Mavis Bates and it is 9 o'clock, so let's get started. So we'll call this meeting to order and roll call, please.
Alan.
Alan present. Good morning.
Good morning.
Dias present.
Molina.
Molina present.
Strathman.
Strathman present.
Wallace. Wojnicki.
Present.
Bates.
Present.
Decorum.
Thank you very much. I think we have public comments today from Anson Moran.
Approval of the minutes?
Sorry. Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from April 22nd?
Dias move.
Wojnicki seconds.
Dias and Wojnicki. Call the roll, please.
Alan.
Alan, I really comprehensive minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Caius.
Dias, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Wojnicki.
Yes.
Bates.
It's yes. Thank you, Ms. Molnick, for keeping me on track here. Now, I believe we have public comment from Anson Moran. Mr. Moran, I see you're online.
Thank you, Mavis. My name's Anson Moran, and I'm the Solar App Outreach Coordinator with the Illinois Solar Energy Association. First, I'd like to commend Kane County for being a member of the Greenest Region Compact and your work on climate action, which is on today's agenda. It typically takes about a day to install a residential solar energy system, but most building departments take weeks, months, or in the case of Chicago, it could take over a year to permit a cookie cutter rooftop residential solar energy system. Plan review takes about an hour for most building departments, but residential solar applications sit in a queue behind more complicated projects, leaving them to wait. According to the US Department of Energy, the soft costs associated with permitting and inspection is around 30% of the total cost of the system. It's time consuming for contractors to navigate a patchwork of codes, interpretations of the same codes, and application procedures. For every week of delay to permit approval, 10% of the contractor's projects fall out of the pipeline. The US Department of Energy's National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, along with an all-star team of experts like the ICC and Underwriters Laboratory, they developed this free online solar energy permitting platform that automates plan review and issues building permits instantly. Compliant applications receive instant approval, while non-compliant applications get kicked back with errors to correct. The platform eliminates the back and forth with the building department staff, which is time consuming, especially with newer contractors. There's a standalone version of the software, which for departments that are not already issuing permits online. And then there's also an integrated version that plugs directly into existing market leading software like EnerGov, Acela, and others. Ultimately, Solar App reduces the cost of solar systems in the jurisdiction by streamlining permitting, which in turn increases accessibility to renewable energy. It allows building departments to allocate resources to more complex projects, saving taxpayer money. And it also may increase adoption of residential solar energy by up to a factor of 6, which we saw during a pilot phase in the city of San Jose. Solar App's now part of the SolSmart designation program, which I understand that the point total potential for adopting Solar App would elevate a bronze designation to a gold designation. And frankly, it leads to faster displacement of greenhouse gases and more city revenue for less effort. NREL representatives handhold the building department staff through the adoption and setup process as well. So in closing, I hope I've compelled this committee to identify some responsible folks within the Kane County Building Department and share it with your contacts at the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and more specifically within the greenest region compacts members. NREL hosts technical demonstrations that are held twice a month to introduce the technical details of the program to interested parties. The clock is ticking on addressing our predicament. And this is something concrete that we could do that really has only upsides. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Okay, thank you. We don't usually ask questions during public comment. Are there any questions that people would like to ask right now? But thank you so much for coming to us and giving us this information. And I'll be talking to our staff members about how we can incorporate this. It sounds like a great idea to me. I got solar in Aurora about a year ago, and the permitting process took many months. So I appreciate this problem a lot personally. So thank you very much for coming to speak to us today.
Thank you, Mavis.
Okay, thanks. All right, next on the agenda is Ms. Wolnick.
Good morning. We have a quick update on the illicit discharge that occurred in Lilly Lake. The AG's office did file suit against the owner. As we understand, the compliance with the wetland regulations of our stormwater ordinance were included in that. We're in the process of obtaining a copy of what was filed, and that will be available once we receive that. In addition, our office has contacted the spill response team in regards to soil erosion and sediment control requirements that also fall under the Kane County Stormwater Ordinance. And to date, they have implemented those requirements. It is the health department has also identified an area of potential well contacts that they would like to see a letter sent out to. They are working with the spill response team on getting those letters out. So hopefully next month we'll have a more detailed report in that regard. And we're also approaching that 45-day report that will go to the IEPA. Again, I believe next month we should have more to report on that as well. Any questions?
One question, Jody. Are they going to be testing those wells? The letters are going to go to the homeowners and they'll be testing their wells?
The recommendation from Illinois State Water Survey was to open the floor for those residents to have their wells tested right now. And then they also suggested having them retested in 6 months. So it would be a voluntary program.
Those are the homes that are east and probably on the north side of Route 64?
Correct. The groundwater flow is generally to the east in that area.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Question, Alan?
Yes, Ms. Allen.
Jody, this is just, word of mouth, so it's not accurate. And I just wanted to ask, I heard that a saving grace in this awful situation was that the diesel and the gas and stuff is lighter, and so it floats, and so it was possible to siphon a lot of that material off before it could sink and get into our wetlands. Is that true, or is that just an optimistic rumor?
It is actually true. The spill occurred when there was standing water in the wetland. And in addition to that, the day after the spill occurred, there was close to 40-mile-an-hour winds in that area. And so based on the projections, they believe about 3/4 of the gasoline actually evaporated off the surface of the wetlands that day. And so what was between what was recovered and what remained in the wetland is maybe around 1/4 of what was actually spilled. They recovered about half of that. And then the other half they had to remove in the excavation that was done in the wetlands and the removal of the cattails. So shortly after the spill occurred, evaporation was the key mode of removal of that material. But once you get into multiple days after the spill, the the gasoline starts breaking down into its byproducts. And at that point, it becomes a product that's absorbed into the wetland vegetation.
Gotcha. Hence the removal of cattails and stuff.
Correct. And that top 6 inches of soil.
How many acres?
Thanks. That's a lot of interesting stuff. Thank you.
Was that many acres or?
Yes.
you know
Yeah,
how-
I don't know the number off the top of my head. I'd have to
5,
pull it
10,
off the map
20?
again.
Okay. Mr. Caius?
Yeah, Chris Caius. So when you say that the well testing is voluntary, are they compensated, residents compensated for that if they do test, or they just invite somebody in to do it? Or
That's something the health department is working with the spill response contractor to get approval for the cost to go through them as part of the spill response.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this topic? Thank you. Would you like to move on to your next topic?
Sure. Blair, could you pull up the PowerPoint, please? So we wanted to just touch on a item that has come up in discussion at a number of different committees. Most recently, Ms. Bates brought it up in regards to the purchase of the laundry facilities replacement at the Juvenile Justice Center. And this is something that we've talked about for a while. And so we wanted to just kind of begin introducing the topic. It really is a staff policy issue, so there's really no action by the board. But I think an understanding of what life cycle costs are going forward when you're making purchasing decisions will help educate that process and help us as staff direct the purchasing department to make sure those requirements are included in the bids that go out. Blair it's not, yeah, advancing. Nope. Maybe my batteries. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we wanted to just start off with a quick YouTube video, and Blair's gonna get that running and also direct the people that are online on how to access it. And it will explain in really layman's terms what life cycle costing is. So whenever you're ready, Blair. Thank you. the same example applies to those as well, in that our life cycle costs may be very different from what your purchase price is. And it's worth looking at those to make sure we're using the best, doing the best use of our taxpayer dollars. So how do we get there? Oop, I'm stuck again, Blair.
By the way, that was the most perfect video.
It explains it
It's
really
so
well in 5
perfect.
minutes. So yeah.
Can we bring that to admin?
Oh,
I
good
didn't know
idea.
Oh, no, it's off.
Yes.
The clicker was
It's
off.
admin.
That was my error. Sorry about that, Blair. So again, just kind of reiterating, it considers all aspects of the ownership. It's the best stewardship of our taxpayer dollars. It also meets the Kane County Sustainability Plan in that we're considering energy use when we're making purchases. And then the county board is also informed to make a full information decision on the items that they're purchasing. So they're not just going on purchase price, but they're considering all aspects of that asset. It is Friday the 13th. It's on now. It's still not working. Okay. This is the longest 5 PowerPoint slide presentation ever. So how do we get there? We met with purchasing and building management to discuss how we would move forward with this. And then we wanted to introduce the life cycle cost video to the E&E committee to get a better understanding with everybody as to what this means. The next step would be working collaboratively with purchasing and building management on their RFPs and bids. So as we're going through this process, there's a lot of models out there. There's a lot of Excel spreadsheets. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. But the challenging part is that what we need to be doing is asking more information from our bidders, but we also need to be providing more information to those bidders when we're actually going out to bid. And so between the information that we have inherent to building management, in addition to what those manufacturers are going to supply us, will give us the full breadth of information that we need to actually insert that information into an Excel spreadsheet to get a reproducible document that can be provided to the county board when you're considering purchasing assets. So that's the next step, is to work on this tool for the data that needs to be inputted. And we want a starting point, but I think this is something that's going to evolve over time, because we can get obviously very fancy with this, and where you have lookup tables in the Excel sheet and it tells you what building you're putting the asset into. And based on that building, it knows the water rates and the sewer rates and the electrical rates. So we could make something really cool here that would work really well. But I think that's maybe something to evolve over time, and something that we want to start with is maybe something more simple to get us to those answers, to provide that information to the board. And so this would, as I mentioned previously, this is internal policy changes, and it will also provide that support for staff and decision makers. That's all I have on that. As an introduction, we will continue to update you as we move forward on this, and I would take any questions.
Madam Chairman, Alan?
Go ahead.
Ms. Allen, go ahead, please.
We are already used to the idea of lowest, most responsible bidder, because sometimes the lowest bidder is not hitting all of our goals. And so this is really just an expansion of that. I would think we'd be able to wrap our arms around it reasonably easily.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Mr. Caius?
Yes, but just, and you've already put it in there, we're working with building management. So we're going to see this video at building or administration committee.
We can certainly do that.
I think you should work with Mr. Fonstock on having that. I think it's enlightening.
This may be my favorite video ever. Other comments, questions? Well, I have a comment, and that is thank you very much to purchasing and building management. We had that one meeting already. And thank you for your interest, your cooperation. This is going to save money. It's going to save energy. It's going to save pollution. So this is a good project for us.
Good government.
Good government.
Madam Chair Strathman here.
Yes, Ms. Strathman, go ahead.
Can that link be sent out to us so we can access and see it again?
Yes.
Yes, and it is on the slide in the packet as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Wolnick. So we will move on to Ms. Ryan for our recycling update.
Right. Yeah, I just have a few slides for you today. Hopefully I won't also hit the Friday the 13th curse. First thing I wanted to mention that you've seen traffic about this by email, but I was able to organize a trip to a materials recovery facility, better known as just a recycling sorting center. Although all our communities have this single stream recycling, the single stream does have to be broken down into its components to actually be recycled. And they do that at these big facilities called MRFs. So I was able to do that with my contact at LRS, and we can go to the Heartland Recycling Center, which they bought, I believe it was in 2014, and then they got funding through, shoot, I can't remember, but they got a special low interest loan to add a lot of technology to that center. So it is one of our newer, most cutting edge MRFs in the Chicago region. The date and time are May 31st. That's this Tuesday right after Memorial Day. The tour starts at 9:30, but because it's an hour drive, I'm estimating our total time commitment that day for folks that want to come as about 9 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon, maybe a little longer if we want to stop and eat something. It would be great to get RSVPs from committee members today, if possible, or in the coming days, just so I can figure out our head count and coordinate some carpooling to get there. And yeah, that's awesome.
Mr.
Okay.
Caius, Ms.
I already
Wolnick, you
answered.
emailed.
Yeah.
Calendar already.
You're invited if you'd like to come, Ms. Lewis.
Of
Sure.
course.
Well, yeah, anybody on the,
Hey,
No field trips.
here, okay, so we're up to
And I would like to invite anybody on the committee or on the board, correct? Could all join us?
yeah.
I have a question. So where are we going exactly? What town?
It's in Forest View.
Forest View.
I have never been to Forest View, but yeah, a lot of the MRFs are kind of situated right along I-55 and along the Chicago Shipway Canal there.
Okay.
Very industrial area, I understand.
So I've been doing virtual tours of municipal for years. You know,
Yeah.
you just sit here and watch a video. So to get to go in person will be exciting.
Yeah, I think it'll be totally different than seeing it on video.
think it
Just
will
the
be very
scale
different.
you can't
Very different.
capture. So excellent.
Are you? Do you want to go, Jody or Ivy? Okay.
Yeah, our entire staff was invited to.
Field trip, road
Yeah.
trip.
We have to wear safety shoes or something.
I will let folks know. I would think closed toe shoes are going to be a must, and probably like long sleeve, long pants kind of thing. But otherwise, hopefully not too much. My other announcement is the first big Kane County Recycles event of the year is happening tomorrow. I'm so excited / nervous. We're shredding and collecting latex paint and aerosols at 540 South Randall Road. That's the county clerk building, but I've learned among a certain demographic to call it the old Montgomery Wards building. And yeah, it'll be there from 8 to noon. We've had so much interest in this event. I've had people calling me about it since January. I wanted to share, so Julie Mann popped this down this morning. She did a Facebook post on it, and it got about 12,500 impressions, which is the most they've had on any post. And it's huge considering, you know, Kane County government's Facebook is relatively new and still growing. So hopefully it got them some more followers too. It had 24 shares, which is again huge for our account, and 536 actual engagements. So people are excited about shredding for free. The event would not be possible without volunteers. I love our volunteers. I have struggled a little bit, to be candid. You know, Jennifer was an institution around these parts, and she had, you know, a solid base of volunteers. But I think probably some of them were doing it to some extent out of loyalty to her and wanting to maintain that relationship. So being new, I don't have that. And, you know, people aren't hurting my feelings by not signing up. So it has been a little bit of a challenge. The other thing is we have lost, so we couldn't use used volunteers from a program that needed hours of community service as like a kind of a restitutional like youth program. And we aren't able to do that this summer because the person who would supervise those folks is not available. And I didn't feel comfortable doing that supervision myself. So we're a little shorthanded. If anyone hasn't signed up to help and wants to, that would be so cool. But I think we will be okay. We will be okay. And thank you to members of the committee here who have already volunteered. And finally, I really made, and I know Jennifer did this too, but just my best effort to promote guidance on what items to bring, what to leave at home, how to prepare your people's things. I put it up on the website. I forgot exactly when it happened, but it was either late March or early April. So it's been weeks. And it's all been in the press release that went out, you know, links in this Facebook. But it does require people to actually click those links and read, which we know they don't always. So, I mean, just for the committee, things that we expect and hope people bring are their medical records if they want to destroy them, tax documents, old social security cards, or anything with a social security number on it, bank statements, that kind of thing. What we want them to leave at home is junk mail, photographs, cash register receipts, anything in plastic binders because those can't be shredded, and credit cards themselves, although you don't want those falling in the wrong hands, they're made of plastic, not paper. So you kind of have to hand cut those with scissors. And yeah, that information has been available. So hopefully it'll go well. Any questions?
Are some of the people in this room volunteering?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good. I
Yeah.
can't.
And staff too.
Oh, wonderful. Oh,
Yeah.
no, I feel terrible.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a busy day.
I have
We're
a
cleaning up
Sierra
in
Club, Illinois
in the river
chapter
now.
meeting tomorrow, or I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did outreach to a lot of the high schools and stuff to try and get student volunteers, but it's like it's prom season, you know. They don't want to break their nails or whatever, or exhaust themselves hauling
Well,
boxes.
thank you.
Rather do
to
that
the-
than go to a prom,
our
man.
volunteers.
Prom? Ugh.
Feel-
I know.
I feel
Yeah.
pretty bad about that, but
No, it's okay. Thank you. So the last thing I wanted to talk about are just some updates to our website. So kind of in order of priority, what I've been doing is trying to remove and replace outdated information. Jennifer was really good about this. I mean, the website was not horrifically out of date, and I don't want to give that impression, but every now and then I come across something that's just a little bit dated. So trying to deal with that. Second most is adding some banners and pictures to kind of try and counter the wall of text that one often encounters on our web pages. I've been adding some maps. This was not my idea. I think I stole it from Swalco, Lake County. They have some nice interactive maps on their website, and I was like, oh, we could do that. And then a longer term project that I'm working on with IT is trying to improve navigation on the page by rearranging the menus a little bit and hopefully kind of moving things more to the menus instead of just having like a laundry list of links. for example, on the homepage and other places. So I wanted to just kind of show you some of this, and I guess I need to, on here, share my screen. All right. Okay. Now I need to hide my Zoom stuff because it's totally in the way. Okay. So this is our homepage. And before I did anything to it, what people tended to see started right here. So it's a very long list of links to other pages on the recycling page. And there's nothing wrong with this other than it's just not very appealing. And I think all this information would be better organized in an actual menu. So that's that point 4, that long-term goal of trying to reorganize that. For the time being, like I don't have the expertise to be able to do that myself. For the time being, what I did was I added this banner. This was just made in Canva, pretty easy. And then added a news and announcements section because I think that's important. When people first land on the page, what do you most want them to know? And it's probably about upcoming events or just important news. So that's kind of how this has gone. But it is, this page is still, I would say, a little bit of a wall of text. There's a lot there. But I've tried to, again, kind of bold the headlines. So if you live nowhere near McHenry County, you don't even need to read that, right? So that's the homepage. Let's see what else I've got here. So this is the events page. Again, this hasn't changed that much either, but it has a banner now. And I tried to expand a little bit by using this header, information about our first event. I put some stuff in red just because I'm nervous about the weather tomorrow. Have a nice image here of our what the site will look like. So if people really want to know what to expect, here it is. Essentially, they're going to drive around the building. If they've got paint, we'll drop it here. If they don't, they'll come around, shred, and then leave, but not through our neighboring businesses parking lot. And then the future event dates are, of course, down here too. So these are kind of minor changes. I did want to show you some of the ones that have had more work done. And when I did, this mouse is a little weird. Maybe I'll use the touchpad. That works better. Yeah. Or no, it doesn't. Oh. Jeez. I need a mouse pad, apparently. This is just stuck. Friday the 13th. I got my mouse. Oh, you know what it is? It's my Zoom stuff in the way again. Okay, there we go. So this is an example of a page I haven't done anything to yet. And it has that wall of text effects. This is all really great information, but it's like reading a textbook almost. It's so much. And so what I've done with some of our pages is try and break that up with pictures and reorganizations. So this page, I call this our light bulbs page. This used to be just fluorescent lights and tubes. And that's like an example of the outdated information. Fluorescent light bulbs and tubes are still out there, and they're still really important to dispose of them properly, but they're not the be all and end all of efficient lighting anymore. So I do still address the fluorescents first because they are so important to dispose of properly. But then we talk about other types of bulbs. This one's pretty rare, but this one is also dangerous. The high intensity discharge bulbs have mercury in as well. But LEDs, they're practically half of the market for light bulbs now. And there was no information anywhere on our page about how to dispose of them. So added that, broke it up with some pictures. And then incandescents and halogens are at the bottom because although they're very common still, there isn't this urgency around disposing of them properly quite, because they're just going to go in the landfill. And then this is a page as well I've added a map to. So these are locations where you can drop off light bulbs. It does require a little bit more reading, like you kind of need to click on it to see, like, the Naperville hazardous waste site does not want your incandescent bulbs. They only want those ones containing hazardous materials. And then this is our program, our Geneva ACE program, for fluorescent tubes, CFLs, LEDs, and HIDs, but again, no incandescent or incandescent halogen bulbs because they're just not a priority. And then the battery page is much the same. I'll just click over to the full map here because it's cool. So this is a map embedded on the batteries page. For batteries, I did more icons. So the blue accepts alkalines and all other types. The orange is only rechargeable batteries, which kind of most drop-off sites are transitioning to. And then these car icons, these are car batteries that where there's no purchase required. Like everyone that sells car batteries has to take them for recycling, but these are recycling centers that don't sell batteries. Yeah, so I guess what I'm hoping just for a little bit of feedback either today or by email about if these changes are kind of what people were hoping to see on the website, or if it's not going quite far enough. And we want to, because we do have the option to take our recycling pages outside of the Kane County design standard and the template that was used for all these pages. There are other departments that have done it. The sheriff's office has done it. The treasurer's office has done it. So they have their own SharePoint site. It's still within the county and within IT, but it's not pages off of our main page, if that makes any sense. It has its own domain. And then we can use different design standards as well. But it's obviously a lot more work, both for myself and IT. So, and I'm pretty neutral on it. I think we can make a lot of really good updates and improvements to the pages, how they are, which I've been trying to do, but, you know, everything's on the table.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any comments? Mr. Kais?
Yeah, I think they're looking great. I think all the graphics, I know that you talk about the wall of information and it's always great stuff, but okay, I'm down is it under fluorescent or is it under bulbs or is it under lights? And so pages. So
Yeah.
I think you're on the right track. And I think you're correct in being cautious about accepting more work for IT or for yourself, especially doing transitions in some of the departments. So I think keep going with, and my personal thing is just keep doing what you're doing, improving the graphics, make it friendlier and keep it within the Kane County domain. So that, because we are recycling, but we're Kane County. So I'm just my personal. So.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you. Quick question for Claire. Batteries that are not rechargeable, I've tried to recycle them at many places and places, I don't know if they're on your list, but I look online, places that say they take them. And when I go there, they say, no, we don't do that anymore. And in fact, one of the places I stopped at, the young man there said, can I tell you a secret? I had a big bag of battery, AA's and AA's. And he said, we don't recycle them. They end up in the garbage is what he said. So
yeah. So the problem with alkaline batteries is that they have a negative value for recycling. So the cost of processing and recycling them is less than the resale value of the components, but also factoring in the environmental stuff. They're not manufactured with mercury anymore. So it's not that it's guaranteed they have zero mercury in them. It's just, it's like sugar versus no added sugar. They don't have like they don't have a mercury added, but there can be traces of mercury in within the zinc that makes those batteries. It's very, very complicated, but essentially there's so many and there's no money to do it. So there's not a good option. So all the Elgin drop-off sites that are on that map do take alkaline batteries. City of Geneva, my understanding, and City of Batavia both take alkaline batteries, but the Geneva and Batavia ones are really supposed to be for residents only. I don't know if they ID or not. The Elgin ones I know are not, and we actually contributed some money to that program this year. So those are drop-offs for any Kane County resident. But if you're in Aurora, that's a long way.
So Elgin Recycling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And they don't throw those in the garbage. I know that for sure. They work with a battery recycler to do that.
Okay.
And actually, Kane County, we have an internal program. I've got battery boxes all over the county, and we take alkalines as well, and we ship them off for recycling. But it's not supposed to be a public program. It's for, batteries used in county operations.
Got it.
Thank you. In Aurora, the Sustainability Board started a program of battery recycling where you pay your water bill in the city hall. There's a
Good
box
idea.
there. So for Aurora people, I hope we're still
know
doing
that.
that. Pre-pandemic,
Yeah.
I started that program, so I'm still excited about it.
Those are probably rechargeable, right?
No, they were for non-rechargeable.
Or non-rechargeable.
Mhm. They just put a box this big in the city hall, and it sat there and it'd fill up, and I hope we're still doing that. I'll have to
And they
ask.
didn't dump it in the garbage.
No, did you
Where
have
in
another
Elgin is
comment?
the,
I have to look at my map again. Let me actually,
wall of
if it's
information?
okay, I'll share again. No, it's in the map, not in the wall. So these blue ones are the Elgin locations. They've got it at the Highway Commissioner's Office, the Fire District Annex, Pingree Grove Fire Station, and, oh, that's not the right one.
Madam Chair, in Elgin, it's
And
the
this
township
station up
office.
here.
Oh,
Mr. Edmund?
Yes, it's at the
Comment?
township office on McLean Boulevard.
Okay.
I'm getting a little worried about time.
Sorry.
So, no,
Utilize the new website.
okay, all right. Because I'm chair, I'm gonna make one more comment, and that is I do appreciate the updates to the website. I feel like it's buried. I don't know, maybe we can have it both under the Kane County domain and have a domain of our own, and it would redirect. But I've often thought it was, I'm very excited you're doing this. I've wanted to do it for a year and a half, so yay.
Madam Chair Bates, this is Roger from IT.
Yes, Roger.
Hi, if you have a minute, we can actually work with them on the domain part of it. I would say that something that's going to be coming up really soon is the county will be using kanecountyil.gov, which is the .gov domain. And there's a push in elections and other areas of government to use that domain name to legitimize and identify registered government entities. So we're going to be doing that. What will happen is if you have a domain name, let's say kanerecycles.com, we would, have that name point back to the kanecountyil.gov/recycles. So you could have a name and it would point back to that, but we're working on domain names under the .gov right now.
Okay, does that mean we should start using our .gov email?
We will let everyone know when we get it working properly, but it's going to be such that you can use either domain name to receive email, but your outbound mail will all start having .gov after it.
Okay, thank you.
That's kind of in progress right now.
Thank you, Mr. Feinstock. So should Ms. Ryan be working with you on these domain names?
Yes,
the
our
channel?
team's already been in contact with her, but we would, we'll be working towards that once we start working under the kanecountyil.gov domain and some of the names. We have a lot of domain names, probably 100 of them that point back to different places in the county. So I don't know, I don't have any reservations about adding another one, but eventually we need to get the .gov domains to have the legitimate presence on the web. So people going to our sites know that it's the government. It's not an
Good.
imposter. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Then I am going to move on to Ms. Clee.
Can I grab
And while she's getting ready, I'm going to let you know that at the end of her presentation, I will be asking everyone for a consensus vote on what she's going to talk about. So, just so you know what's about to
Forewarned.
happen.
All right.
So pay
So-
attention.
Warned is forearmed.
Good morning, everyone. This is Ivy Clee. I'm going to be giving a quick update on the climate action plan and some steps for moving forward with the group. So we're still the climate implementation action planning group has been meeting twice a month. So if you're interested in participating, please feel free to reach out to me. The last meeting was a great session and we really worked through a lot of material that I'm going to share today. So just to give you all some more background, we were looking a little bit more at what does Kane County have right now? And we have a Kane County's operational sustainability plan that was approved in 2013. The plan was focused on mostly facilities. The majority of the goals of that plan have been accomplished and they were on the whole internal goals. And a part of that document included an update in 2018 to start a phase 2 that would have focused on community outreach and extending the plan into the public. So that hasn't been something that we've done yet, although it was a part of the plan. So our hope is that with a climate action implementation document, we can replace the sustainability plan and instead have personalized actionable goals that are attainable for our municipalities in our county. So we thought a little bit more about what does this look like? What is the end deliverable? In a lot of our research, after looking at a ton of different climate action plans that have been implemented across the Midwest, we do have, so the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus did publish a climate action plan and Edith did come to an Energy and Environment Committee meeting, I believe last year, to introduce that. So we've been using that plan as a guide for us, but what we've determined, and you can see in this example. So this chart is just one example of part of their plan. So they have a strategy of decarbonizing energy sources. And I know it's a little bit hard to see, but they have this chart, which includes a strategy and then how to get that, what's included within that strategy, what the process looks like. So then there's what the greenhouse gas impact would look like, what the cost would look like, what's the effort required. And then there's kind of generalized notes for each of those. So when we were looking at this example, the first strategy on this decarbonizing energy sources section was procuring clean energy for municipal operations. And when we looked at that, we didn't really think that there was a clear explanation as to how a municipality could get that done. And it wasn't detailed enough. So based on some brainstorming that we did, we came up with 6 examples of actionable steps that would include the how to getting that strategy done. So for example, procuring clean energy for a municipal operation could look like issuing an RFQ to evaluate municipal buildings for clean energy opportunities, working with the consultant to review the incentives available, presenting the opportunities to a board, developing a PPA for municipal buildings that could require a percentage of green power, considering rooftop solar, and then any opportunities for our communities that are on municipal utilities. So within that one strategy, there's a lot of different actions to be considered. And that's something that we want to accomplish with the Kane County Climate Action Implementation Plan, is having clear, concise actions the municipalities can actually implement, so they're not overwhelmed when they see the strategy, and it's clear as to what we would like them to do. So,
Does everybody know PPA, power purchase agreement? Like
oh,
what we
thank you.
did?
Yeah, thanks. And then just another example that we thought was a good example and a deliverable as a part of the plans that we looked at. This is from Naperville's plan. I believe it's called NEST. So this table is similarly on energy objectives and strategies. So this chart, I know there's a lot of information and it's small and hard to see. They have specific strategies, again, that are in detail. So they have an actionable step. And then with each of those steps, there's an amount of carbon dioxide reduced with each strategy. So you can see the amount that's being reduced with each action. And then there's a responsible party. So whether that's the resident, community, or municipality, and then the timeline for going through with each of those strategies. And then at the bottom, there's a proposed savings and target summary, which included two options. Option A would demonstrate what happens if there is no action on a certain strategy. So I think the example they used was, what are the total greenhouse gas emissions if there's no change in the energy purchasing sources of their entity? And then option B demonstrated what would happen if there was a change. And then based on the goals of their climate action plan, would they be able to reach their goal of X amount of greenhouse gas emission decreases with each of those strategies? So it's very clear. It demonstrated what the situation or the outcome would look like if there was change, if there wasn't change. So these were just two examples that are going to guide us in the deliverables that we'd like to see from this plan. And so based on reviewing those deliverables and also reviewing the climate action plans, we've created a list of implementation plan steps. And we do the group that we've created has discussed that working with a consultant and issuing an RFQ would be the first step in implementing this plan and creating it. And then next, that would look like selecting a consultant with our purchasing department, reviewing local and national trends in climate action plan implementation, integrating the greenhouse gas inventory data that we will have from CMAP soon, and developing reduction percentages and timeframe, creating working groups to develop the actual goals and the goals within sectors, and then finalizing strategies on topics and soliciting public input. Document costs, greenhouse gas reduction potential, governance, behavioral and staffing challenges need to be taken into account as well, and developing reporting and visualization tools for the county and also for municipal governments, finalizing a document for adoption, and then approving that document with the county board. So this is just a quick overview of the implementation steps. And then so the implementation sectors that we've generally discussed look like reducing emissions, decarbonizing energy sources, optimizing building energy, implementing clean energy policies, decarbonizing transportation, reducing vehicle miles traveled, sustaining ecosystems to sequester carbon, and agriculture greenhouse gas in Kane County, and then carbon sequestration opportunities. So these came from looking at a variety of different climate action plans, in particular Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Plan, and then the agriculture piece actually came from a climate action plan that was located in Wisconsin. Their land use was 80% ag, and that was something that wasn't included in the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Plan. But since Kane County is over 50% agriculture in their land use, we thought that that was something that we should incorporate into this plan that's going to be important. So that's kind of where all these sectors came from. And so before I get to this slide, I'm just going to give a quick memo. Oh, hang on, here we go. So we have a memo located before the presentation slides, which is on the scope of work for an RFQ to work with a consultant in creating this climate action plan and gathering all the data and analyses that will be a part of the plan. So the goal that's listed here to create a King County actionable climate action implementation plan using the adaptation goals, targets, and objectives in the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Climate Action Plan and Greenest Region Compact 2 that provides strategies for decision makers that are environmentally, economically, and socially equitable. The plan will provide resources, action items, and goals that can be scaled to municipal level for local adoption. So there's a large scope of work that we've really gone over in detail with the Climate Action Implementation Working Group. If there's any questions, the kind of high level summary of that, we'd like a consultant to review the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Climate Action Plan, review the other climate action plans that are out there, as well as what Kane County has currently, and take all of that data and see where Kane County needs to incorporate more climate action and what has worked for other local governments and what also has not worked. So taking all of that data, evaluating everything, working with King County staff, working with the working groups, and just guiding us in the process of developing this plan. The selected consultant will provide sound supporting data and support of the implementation strategies. It is King County's intent that the final document will focus on actual implementation strategies and resources developed from the framework that will be set forth in the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Climate Action Plan. So while brief introduction is envisioned along with a discussion of the King County CMAP greenhouse gas inventory and goals, the bulk of the plan is envisioned to be implementation strategies and resources. And the budget that we have discussed would look like $75,000 from the Civic Contribution Fund that is funded by the electric aggregation program that we have with Eligo Energy. So if anyone has any questions on the scope of work, we can discuss those now, but King County staff is asking for a consensus from committee members to move forward with issuing an RFQ with our purchasing department. Once the proposals are submitted, they will be reviewed, formally evaluated, and then brought back to Energy and Environmental Committee again to approve a consultant and budget resolution. So I will take any questions at this time.
Any questions, Ms. Wodnicki?
Thank you. Quick question. So we're estimating somewhere around 75,000?
Yes.
And
That's our
up to 75,000 probably.
Yes, so that's
Okay.
the estimate. We've talked with other local entities, and we've also reviewed what other municipalities have gone out to bid. Some of them have kind of just put out an RFQ, and the companies have just come back with numbers that range from like $45,000 all the way up to like $400,000. That was from Oak Park. So that was really interesting to see. And then what's included within, the proposals that they're sending back with that budget. So $75,000 is what we're estimating. But again, we'll see what the proposals come back.
Okay.
Mr. Caius? Any comment?
Sounds great. We're getting good buy-in. Are we contacting municipalities and around that?
So the climate
Big part of
action
it?
implementation working group currently consists of King County staff, King County board members, City of Elgin staff, and City of Elgin commissioners. So they're currently pursuing a climate action plan of their own. And we thought it'd be great to work collaboratively together so that we can have a perspective of a municipality while creating this plan. And we do also have other municipalities, Aurora, and I believe, who else?
I'm going to call Carolyn Burnham from Batavia Environmental Council.
Batavia and also Geneva. So we have a few local municipalities as well as county staff. all part of the group.
So one of our goals on this is we're actually doing something that nobody else has ever done before, which is
Mhm.
try to have a county-wide plan that includes the municipalities. Didn't Ickley say they've never, nobody's ever attempted to boldly go where no one's gone before? But
Yeah. So the idea is to have a county-wide plan that we could pass on to municipalities that they could implement. And the idea is we're doing all of the data collection, all the work to create a plan, handing them this, list of actions that they can check off which ones work for them.
leading the way
Mhm.
and helping our municipalities that might not have the resources to do a
Mhm.
comprehensive plan. Ms. Nikki.
Just one more thought, maybe the Kane County Farm Bureau, just to pull in the farmers out west,
Mhm.
and that might be a big part of it.
Yeah, thank you. We definitely will be working with our ag staff members for sure, our transportation department, development department, but that's a great addition. I can reach out to them.
Alan, question?
Ms. Allen, please.
Thanks. Are we hoping that our consultant will be somebody with diplomatic skills who will be able to communicate with the communities and make them feel invited and included as opposed to being hammered to join this? Or is,
Yes,
or is-
yes,
is that-
definitely.
We are
Okay,
going to be
so-
so diplomatic.
And the idea is that we would have a consultant to work collaboratively with staff members so that the staff members are able to make that connection with municipalities. The consultant's able to make that connection. And then the consultant is also able to guide all of us in efficient discussions so that we can create the steps that need to be taken to complete the goals.
Mhm. And I expect the board members to be involved, and I hope the committee members will also be involved in some of these outreach and liaising with municipalities, our towns, our villages, our cities. It'll be fun. It'll be leading the way. So may I have a consensus from the committee? Is anybody, any of the committee members online, may I have your consensus that we move forward with the RFQ for a consultant to help with the climate action implementation plan?
Alan, absolutely.
Alan, yes?
Kaya
Straffen,
says,
yes.
Kaya says it's a big reach, but I think going where no man has gone before is good. Hopefully we're wearing, isn't that the blue shirts? The red shirts always die and the old Star Trek.
I don't know.
You watch the old Star Trek? Keep an eye on the red shirts. They're goners.
Yeah, never be the fifth guy that goes.
We're all
down
blue
to the
shirts, or we want
bottom.
this thing to work.
Ms. Nikki, are you?
Definitely.
Agree.
Should we add not to exceed 75,000, or are we going to work just around that number?
I think we're going to include that in the RFQ just to give them my idea of our budget, but it will be qualifications based. So depending on what our scope is, we might make some adjustments depending on what their numbers come in at. So I think we'll know better once we get those numbers back from the consultants.
Okay, thanks, Jody.
And we also have the idea that this could be customizable for the smaller communities. The things they try to check off might be a subset of the whole list. Wouldn't you say, Ivy? Okay, so we have our consensus. That's great. Let's see, what's next? Is jobs
Jobs.
canceled?
No, we're waiting for you.
They're standing out there.
Where's everybody? Okay,
Out there.
oh, all right, well,
Patiently
then we
waiting.
better hurry up.
We're
Okay,
used to it. We like it.
okay.
I figure this is education and then we go into jobs.
Any new business? Okay, I have a brief comment, which is that I just want to thank my wonderful staff, Jody, Ivy, and Claire, for all their hard work. And I also want to say that the climate action plan is so important. As we all know, the climate crisis is upon us. The Nature Conservancy just came out with a wonderful climate assessment for Illinois. I saw that in the Conservation Foundation had their advisory board meeting 2 days ago, yesterday maybe. And it's a beautiful document. And I'm going to be referring my staff to look at Nature Conservancy's climate assessment plan.
Scare the
So-
crap out of you though.
It's depressing as heck, but this is not depressing. Climate action plans are, I said to her, do you have a plan? She said, no, we don't do plans. Because that's, that's really, you know, the next step. But we're doing a plan and we're going to we're really going to make some climate action and implementation in King County. So I will take a motion to adjourn, or any other business.
Yeah, just one last comment, and I just wanted to thank Jody and Rob Linky and our health department. And this is all in regards to the gas station 8,000 gallon spill at 47 and 64. But I know that when I attended the meetings, and Jody, of course, was there, the cleanup, Tom, I can't think of his official name, but anyway, he and the chief of the Elburn Fire Department just couldn't believe how involved the community was. From the IEPA as well. None of them could believe how involved the community was. The county was involved. All the fire department. It was really wonderful. I mean, we really live and work in a great county, and yeah. So I want to thank you for all your hard work. And I know it's going to be like a 5-year probably deal.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll all work out. So.
Okay, thank you
And-
for that comment.
Yeah, motion to adjourn then.
Reports placed on file.
Ellen
Okay.
Rose.
Wonecki, second.
Alan,
Alan, I.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Molina,
Rena, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Bates.
Yes, thank you. Now, we have no need for executive session, correct?
Yeah,
So
motion to
Nikki-
adjourn. Thank you.
Mr. Caius,
Second.